All right, so crazy loaded question here. What are the ingredients to make a packed dance floor? What does it take?
Lots of alcohol. I mean, it's called social lubricant for a reason. So open bar definitely helps, but ultimately the obvious answer is a great DJ with amazing room awareness and with an ability to understand how to generate and curate and maintain energy. But the less obvious answer, which I talk about in my book, How to Hire a Killer Wedding DJ, available now on Amazon, is venue selection, room layout, and a proper timeline. I'm sure you've experienced this. I always like to do a walkthrough or see the floor plan before, if I'm not already familiar with the space, but there've been a couple occasions where that's not possible, and I walk in and I haven't even set up my equipment and I can already tell I'm completely sunk because the room is way too big. So the venue just filled in extra tiles on the dance floor, so now the dance floor is also way too big. We didn't do up lighting because there was a budget, so the lighting levels are not correct. The bar is outside in the foyer and the photo booth is on the patio. We're sunk, so it's all of those things. It's hiring an amazing DJ that understands you and understands how to read a crowd and make adjustments. To me, that's almost obvious. So that's why I like to talk about all the other aspects logistically. We're amazing, but we're not magicians. And if the room is not set up and the timeline is set up inappropriately, then there's a lot of things that can torpedo our best efforts. So a lot of our consultation is, again, without going into a power struggle, is being able to see the timeline and get on a phone call with the client and the planner and make some subtle suggestions about shifting things here and there, on the timeline to ensure success. A perfect example that I'm sure you've experienced. I love photographers, I love videographers, but my number one pet peeve and challenge in the last few years is photographers that book a package where they end at 10 and we're taking the room till midnight. So now our ability to let a timeline flow naturally and take, to me, cake and bouquet, those are fillers. Those are things to use to fill dead space or downtime when we've lost the floor or people have danced for 40 minutes and they're tired. Everyone else looks at it as like a focal point, but I think as DJs, we look at it as shuffling these pieces around. But if the photographer leaves by 10 and we have to front load everything on the timeline, it kills our whole ability to manage and maintain energy organically. So really being aware of the timeline and how things are spaced out is along, again, with venue selection and room layout, I think really are critical to a packed dance floor. And so that's another thing I'll talk to guests about is success or failure of an event is not ruled by the dance floor. It is a barometer, and I understand, again, that you look to the floor to kind of gauge how a room feels, but there's a whole lot more going on. So that also is in the discovery call to get a sense of making sure that their vision is realistic. Yeah. Another point that reminds me of is length. Reception length is a huge one. I often talk people out of 5 or 6 hour receptions because it's about, do you want to end on a high note? It's like a race. Do you want to have everyone hit the finish line at once with a big photo finish? Then you run a short race. If you have a marathon, people get tired and they fall out, and then it's an anticlimactic ending. If that's okay for a couple, great. I have no agenda, but let's just make sure all these things were realistic about it. So the length of it, and like I said, I've had plenty of successful events, as I'm sure you have, where the song selection and the energy is on point and the room feels amazing and we didn't have much dancing, but tons of compliments afterwards. And we allowed people to enjoy the space naturally the way they wish to enjoy it. That becomes a lot more important when you book a really unique venue. If you're in a hotel ballroom and there's ugly carpet and 4 square walls, dancing becomes a lot more important, and having a DJ that can really maintain that energy. If you book a place like La Venta and Palos Verdes, where there's like all these different areas and a patio in front and a beautiful view in the back, the reality is people are going to drift, and you spent the money on a really interesting space. It's okay to let people enjoy that space and not force them to be congregated in one area.